Hey everybody, it's Galmadex and welcome back to another premiere draft of Outlaws of Thunder Junction. This is the premiere draft set for the week, so we can do a couple more of these drafts, although there's also an Arena Direct this weekend. It'll be Edge of Eternities again, so I don't know if I'm going to do too many runs of it, because we did already win a Collector Booster Box and Play Booster Box of that set, so I don't really need to win anymore, but we'll give it at least one or two runs. But with that out of the way, let's get back into Magic's take on the Western genre. We've got a pretty great pack here. There's three different directions that I personally like. There's great monocolored removal from Mystical Tether, certainly better than Derailment if we want to grab removal. There's Vault Plunderer for an excellent value play, one of the best black commons. There's also this Prairie Dog uncommon that I've been pretty happy with throughout the format. 2 mana, 2/2 lifelink are already a reasonable stat line, but any turn that you don't have anything to cast, this keeps getting juiced up. It gets a +1/+1 counter on it, and that works particularly well with the plot mechanic that's unique to this set, where if we play it in like any deck with a decent amount of plot spells, blue-white is technically the plot archetype, although that's one of the weaker archetypes in the formats. But if we play it with any of the plot spells, we get to exile our plotted card instead of casting a spell for the turn, and gets use out of our mana while also getting a counter on the Prairie Dog. And then, of course, casting that plotted spell the turn after we plot it from exile will also not count as casting a spell from our hand and will help trigger the Prairie Dog. So I like that a lot. And the Beast Bond Outcaster is a solid follow-up to it because it has that plot mechanic that plays really well with it, while just being a really powerful monocolored card. So it's not particularly restrictive. If we get cut off of white, we don't have to play this in a green-white deck. It can go into pretty much any green color pair and still be fantastic. Pick number 3 now. Certainly a pretty large drop in power level here. There's a bunch of fine role fillers. There's a dual land here in case we splash around towards black, or if we just get pushed into green-black in the first place. Reckless Lackey was a fine card for the Outlaw style decks. I actually had multiple copies of this, I believe, in the deck that I cashed out the Arena Open with. So maybe overrating it due to some fond memories. Don't really think we want to take it this early as a reason to go off color. It's just fine if you already are a red Outlaws kind of deck. There's also Tumbleweed Rising, which I guess has plot synergies, but is never the most impressive card because it doesn't give you anything if you don't have another creature on board. That said, it is still quite reasonable because if you do, then you get a pretty big creature out of this for cheap. Then there's Fibblethip, which looks really nice on first glance, but it's just far too slow and dirty for the set. That card was one of the big surprisers for me, one of the big underperformers for me, where it looked infinitely better than it actually played. Pick number 4, Mirage Mesa, is a super solid pick here just to stay incredibly open. The Mirage Mesa, of course, being fixing no matter what colors we play. That said, Lotus Ring is deceptively powerful. It's easy to pass up on this and be like, yeah, I don't really care about sacking a bunch of creatures trying to stock up some mana for later. But +3/+3 Vigilance turns anything into a must-kill threat. A 1/1 becomes a 4/4 Vigilance. It's actually a very solid card. I think a very reasonable one to shove into any deck with a decent creature count. Super flexible too. I'm just going to take the Lotus Ring here. I think pick 4 is a little bit late for it, seeing as it is just a pretty powerful, pretty reasonable colorless spell. Pick 5, Mourner's Surprise, was a pretty nice card for the green-black decks. They tended to be really good at accruing a bunch of value out of getting 2-for-1s from reanimating cards in their graveyard. So picking up creatures from your graveyard, reanimating creatures from your graveyard, putting them right to the board, things like that play super well in that color pair. So this would be reasonable. Outcaster, Lotus Ring, and Festering Gulch, and now Mourner's Surprise towards Golgari graveyard value. I like that as an idea of a path to take. But again, we're not super tied to anything still. We've got a colorless spell, we've got a dual land, we have 2 monocolored cards. We could speculate on another dual land here, or just take your favorite other monocolored spell, although I think the best spell outside of the land here is just Mourner's Surprise. Pick number 6, there's Eroded Canyon for speculative fixing. If we end up playing all 3 of these colors, white, black, and green, or I guess just white, black, then Vanishing Verse isn't horrible. Sometimes it's not going to be able to kill what you want it, like if your opponent has a multicolor spell like Wrangler the Damned on the board, and that's always going to feel like such a bummer. But this will often just be efficient removal for whatever you need to kill. That said, Lively Dirge, more flexible being a monocolored spell, and another deceptively powerful one. If you just have two good 2 mana value creatures, this can be a 5 mana spell to put two 2/2s on the board with good stats, good abilities, which is quite powerful. Like, if for 5 mana, I get like a 2 mana 3/2 and a 2 mana 2/2 lifelink off of the Dirge, that's pretty sick. Now, I guess technically it only puts one of the cards into your grave, so you'll have to have traded off a 2-drop first to get that full value. But the other thing it does really well is if we manage to open up a bomb rare creature that is like 4 mana value or less, then this can tutor for your bomb creature and just spit it right onto the board because you put it in the grave and then reanimate it. So Dirge has multiple solid uses. This pack's pretty filler. Outlaw Medic is the on-color fine filler, but the Prairie Dog thing in red, or not Prairie Dog, the Wolverine, Groundhog, something. I don't know. The random Western animal that was a red card that lets you draw another card when it hits the board is perfectly fine filler red stuff. Pick 8, Steer Clear's fine. I don't really see any of these blue cards as reasons to speculate that direction. I can also just take Conduit Pylons here. Pick 9, Mystical Tether. Wow. This was one of the best cards in the pack when we first saw it. That is a reasonable sign to stick on the white here at least. Maybe we do end up in some weird black-white direction. We only have the one green card so far. We'll see. We'll see. We're still in a good flexible position here. Not astronomically deep into any of these colors, and we've got multiple pieces of fixing. Even the Lotus Ring, sort of, if you're incredibly desperate, can be used as fixing. Speaking of being desperate for fixing, we could take a gold pan here, but Treasure Dredger has some pretty fun synergies in the right position. Getting those treasure tokens for fixing as well. Pick 11. These cards are really just not good for 1v1. They're so expensive, so slow. We'll just take Townsfolk there. But those were just like a couple cool commandery rares, really. Take filler on color creatures and see what we manage to open up in pack number 2. This is a set absolutely loaded with great rares. For pack 2, pick 1, we get a Mystical Tether or a Cactarantula. Green did not seem particularly open. We took one Beastbond Outcaster very early. Did not see much in terms of exciting green later. We saw like a Snakeskin Veil that I can remember, and any other green cards that we saw were in packs where they were significantly weaker than whatever, like on-color removal or something we took instead. So I don't think green is likely enough to want to take Cactarantula over Mystical Tether, although if I were definitely green-white at the core, I might take that pick. Because Cactarantula is a very, very good stat line for the cost. 5 mana, 6/5. If you have a desert on board, plus reach, plus draw a card when your opponent casts removal on it. Card is really, really excellent at what it's doing, to where I would take it over Mystical Tether if I had a reasonable amount of creatures and a reasonable amount of removal, so I'm not really missing out on either. The Cactarantula is a little bit better at what it's doing than Mystical Tether is. Alright, I guess we have to stick to green, because Buried in the Garden is an absurd removal spell. This is a removal spell that also ramps you up and fixes your mana. Really, really good card there. It can also hit any non-land permanent, whereas the Mystical Tether can only hit creatures and artifacts. So I really like the Buried in the Garden. Lost Jittay's fine, but it's just like fine filler. Certainly weaker than Lotus Ring by a bit, but a similar kind of play pattern where you can put it into anything, but I'm really unimpressed by the card. I will mention it though, because it is, a mythic chilling over there. I don't think there's much competition in the commons and uncommons. I guess Consuming Ashes is somewhat fierce competition. Buried in the Garden at face value, in terms of what you're getting for the mana cost, quite a bit better. Getting that ramp is huge. In addition to removal, turns it into an excellent 2-for-1. But Consuming Ashes is in a better color for us. We're not really sure how heavy into green we get to be in this draft pod, and we know we could play a deep black deck here. So there's Consuming Ashes again, competing with a combo which is not the greatest. you have to do token synergies, and there's just not a whole ton of token production in the set. The tokens are, of course, these mercenary tokens you can get off cards like Mourner Surprise, but right now we have one Mourner Surprise, one Treasure Dredger, and it's not the easiest to find more production. I think I'd rather just take Consuming Ashes here. Congregation Griff is an excellent card if you are locked into the dedicated green-white mounts deck, but even if we do end up playing both green and white, we have basically 0 mounts right now. We're really unlikely to find synergy for that card. Pick 4 Badlands Revival, excellent card for the green-black archetype, but also still good off of the splash, so it's probably black-white splash green for great removal. The Outcaster maybe not quite making the cut if it's going to be off the splash here. So we get great removal with Buried in the Garden, and we get a great 2-for-1 reanimation spell with Badlands Revival, putting our most expensive creature from grave straight to the battlefield, and another permanent from our grave to our hand. So if our opponent has like enchantment removal to blow up one of our tethers or Buried in the Garden, this can't just pick up creatures to put them in our hand. It can pick up enchantments and lands as well. Whatever's there in the graveyard. So at this point, I think we really just need to get a bunch of creatures. We gotta fill out the creature curve with something here. That said, I will take a Creoseed Heath over Linkbreaker, Desecrator, Bridled Bighorn. They're all very filler creatures. Giant Beaver's actually quite good. Great stat line for the cost, but again, way deeper into the black and white here. There's a world where my black creatures are bad enough, we try to go green-white at the core, splash the black. But we do have a double black card that's not the most splashable. Alright, Gigapede for the top end of the curve. More removal with Fierce Retribution. Or like Snakeskin Veil. I'm going to take the Gigapede here. Holy Cow's not bad either. But we just need more creatures, so let's get more creatures. This one's a great additional creature, Frontier Seeker. 2 mana, 2/1. When it enters, look at the top 5, reveal a mount creature card or a plains card from among them, put it into your hand. So basically, 2 mana, 2/1, draw plains when it enters. 2 mana, 2/1, draw a card. Excellent value. Lassoed by the Law, another incredible value play. A 2-for-1, a Banishing Light style removal spell, and a 1/1 Mercenary, all off of just one card. Pick 9, another Mourner's Surprise. Not going to play Ariet's Lullaby with the massive amount of additional removal we have here. Getaway Glamour can be cute in the right position. It'll probably end up getting cut, again, with all the other removal we have access to. But better than anything else in the pack. Same with Humiliate, Thoughtseize, and a +1/+1 counter. But all I need to add to this deck is just more random creatures. We wheel the Link Breaker, which is great. Another random creature for the deck. And we'll see what we get in pack 3. Insatiable Avarice. Draw 3, lose 3. Triple black's a difficult mana cost, but that could be pretty powerful. 3 mana, draw 3, lose 3 is great. We're never going to cast this on turn 3 because we're never just going to have Swamp, Swamp, Swamp. But as a late game play of 5 mana, draw 3, lose 3. And of course, draw 1 card whatever we want because we get to search for something and put it on top. That's pretty excellent. Competing with Rictus Robber as the best way to try to flood the board with multiple creatures off one spell. We really need to load up on creatures here. That'd be reasonable, but Avarice is pretty fun. Don't know if the mana base can quite justify it. But hey, it's Jim's too. We'll take Insatiable Avarice here. Another Mystical Tether or splash in a free Strider Lookout. This has that crime committing mechanic, so when you target your opponent or when you target any of their stuff, then you trigger this card. Ramp some lands out. Pretty good at targeting our opponents and their stuff with all this removal. Yeah, I'll splash in a Lookout. Does make the Avarice even harder to cast a triple black, though. I probably want a little bit more green in here. One last job. Return a creature from your grave to the battlefield, a mount or vehicle, and an aura or equipment. Aura or equipment, not artifact or enchantment? Okay, I have 1 Buried in the Gardens and 1 Lotus Ring. Yeah, that's just inefficient. Just take a Holy Cow here, I suppose. Actually, Unfortunate Accent is removal and a creature all in one. That's huge. Take that. Pick 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 creatures. A lot of mercenary tokens now. Lassoed by the Law, Double Mourner Surprise, Unfortunate Accident. But I do need legitimate creatures to actually use cards like Mourner Surprise and Badlands Revival. Can't really rely on creature tokens, because I can't pick those up from Grave. Rise of the Varmint's definitely not great in here. Yeah, I could see Pillage the Bog. I really don't want to run like the Desecrated thing. I guess the Outlaw Medic. I didn't really notice until last second. Probably should have been the Outlaw Medic there. But this is just like a full-on demonic tutor later in the game. Vault Plunderer. Great value play. Good creature to add to our curve. Love it. If we're in a position where somehow like committing a crime will literally win us the game, then we can also commit a crime with it. Ping our opponent for 1, target them with that. Fel the Mighty is cute. It's pretty funny. It can get completely countered by an instant speed removal spell, but if your opponent's tapped out, you cast that on your 1/1. That is a one-sided board wipe. Pick 8. I'm not going to go so deep on committing crimes that I'm running off-color duels, just as tapped swamps. Take an Armadillo because it's hilarious with Fel the Mighty. Normally a card you basically never run, but there's that one synergy if we get the Splinter Twin Wombo combo together. Take some random nonsense. Pariah's interesting. You get to enchant your opponent's creature with this, so that they just can't hit you again until they're okay with losing the pariah creature. It's just like fog plus removal in the right position. It's certainly much less consistent than either of those cards, but in the right spot, it can function as both at once, which makes it reasonable. Not incredible, but reasonable. Certainly think cards like Mystical Tether, just for the consistency, not having to worry about what your opponent's doing in response, is better. So let's see what we got here. 17 creatures. We have a lot of token production, a lot of mercenaries, so we can cut that down a decent chunk, but we still want enough creatures to consistently end up with some in our graveyard for Badlands Revival and for what is it called? Lively Dirge. You know, I mean, our green splash is reasonably strong, but we actually have a lot of on-color power as well here. Just a lot of grindy 2-for-1 removal. That would make our Avarice card draw more consistent. We've got a potential like one-sided board wipe with Fel the Mighty. Lotus Ring making all of our threats incredibly big, even later in the game. If I just go pure Orzhov here, just really simple, really easy mana base. Yeah, we have enough power in this deck, we can do that, if nothing else, to differentiate it quite a bit from our first deck that was a very splashy one. Okay, still 7 cards to cut, wow. I don't have the craziest cards to reanimate off Dirge, so I don't think I'm that worried about it. And now that I'm cutting Dirge and the Badlands Revival, we can actually cut down all these mediocre creatures, because I think our non-creature spells is where things have gone really, really well. We've got very, very high card quality here on average, but the creatures certainly leave something to be desired. So we can go really low creature count here and just go raw card quality, focused on primarily the spells. 1 more cut to go. Looks very reasonable where it's at now. Without the splash anymore, I do need to cut 1 more creature still. It could be Treasure Dredger. It could also be Desecrator. I really don't have much to sack to this. This only sacks creatures. I mean, I've got Mercenaries flying around. Lassoed, Accident, Double Mourner Surprise, Link Breaker. These are both probably the weakest creatures in terms of stats for the cost and synergy in the deck, but they have some use. Like, this helps us get to triple black for Insatiable Avarice, more realistically. And this can sack mercenaries. And mercenaries are outlaws, so they would make treasures. But even then, I mean, sack a mercenary just for a single +1/+1 counter and a treasure just doesn't seem great. I'm going to keep the treasure dredger and keep the curve low. Still keep a good chunk of lands in this deck. Particularly, we need to keep a bunch of black sources in the deck so we can hit triple black more realistically. So I want at least 9 swamps. And then I've got more white spells than black spells, so I also want a good chunk of plains, so I kind of want at least 8 of those. And even though the curve is low enough, it might be realistic to cut a land in terms of the quantity of lands, like the land to non-land ratio. I think the quantity of sources of each color needs to kind of be this high here. I mean, maybe I could go 7-9 towards the swamps, but I'm not going to push it here. We'll lock it right there, call it a deck, and head into the gameplay. All right, here we are for game 1 on the play. 3 white spells in the hand, 2 swamps, and everything in the hand is pretty expensive on average. We're going to have to mulligan that. Much better 6-card hand here. We'll lead with Link Breaker, followed up with Prairie Dog and Humiliate. Pretty good. Humiliate plays a little bit better in this set than it does in most. There's a lot of sets I would just never run it, but this is a very bomb-heavy format, so just the off chance that you have them discard their big bomb rare is pretty great. Now, the weakest matchup for Humiliate, because it is discard and not exile, is green-black. Because again, green-black has Mourner Surprise, it has Badlands Revival, it has ways to just get the big bomb creature right back, sometimes even right back onto the board, which is particularly scary. Let's see what they got here. Okay, luckily they're pretty splashy, it looks like. Blue, black, green, and white. So they might not have the reanimation. I kind of want to just get this Dust Animus. I mean, they don't have the white mana for it yet. Maybe I should just hit Dance of the Tumbleweeds. Wow, they kept a risky hand here. Most of these cards quite expensive. They don't have the white source. Animus is going to be a problem when it shows up, but I have 3 removal spells in this hand. So I think the only thing that I can't really deal with removal is valuable instants or sorceries, and the most valuable one to that hand, it's got to be Dance of the Tumbleweeds. Any basic land lets them pull out a dual land out of their deck at that point. 3 mana, tutor out a desert, put it into play. And they did top deck the basic. So far not super punished for the opening hand, but they still have not drawn the white source at least. They've only got 1 more crime to commit in their hand. It's This Town Ain't Big Enough. I don't think I need to tether the Raven. Lush Oasis is the top deck. They're hitting nothing but lands, which, again, is good for them. It's going to get them to the 5 for the double bounce if they want to hit 2 of our permanents with This Town Ain't Big Enough. But now they are super desperate for that white source. 2 white spells and 1 blue spell left in their hand. Need 5 mana total to get max value off this. I certainly would like to blow up the Servant of the Stinger here to make sure they don't get the tutor off of it by committing a crime. Because then, even if they don't top deck a land, what they can do with This Town Ain't Big Enough is go for the cost reduction, pick up their Raven of Fell Omens, and pick up our Nezumi Link Breaker. That'll count as committing a crime, which means that if they hit us with the Servant, which we wouldn't have a blocker up at that point, they could then use the Servant to turn it into a Plains and start casting their great rare and their card draw engine. Alright. Still got the aggressive lead here, I think even through a Drover Grizzly, so I'm going to push that damage in and drop the Vault Plunderer. Ready to take a significant crackback here. Oh, Mourner Surprise is so good with Vault Plunderer. This card is excellent with good ETBs. If you're loaded up on Vault Plunderers and also like Ambush Gigapedes, stuff like that, That really ups the quality of Mourner's Surprise, so we're happy to draw that alongside the Plunderer. There's the 5 mana. This town ain't big enough. We'll take 5. This turn we will go ahead and kill the Grizzly, hopefully drawing the land. We did not draw the land, sadly. So there's not going to be any unfortunate accident value. Pop the Grizzly. There's the 5th mana. If I cash in the unfortunate accident on Raven, I will have no more removal left if they hit the white source for either of these. And that will be very bad for me. Hurts to take a damage when I'm this low now, but definitely Vault Plunderer. Here's Frontier Seeker over Treasure Dredger. Make sure we hit land for next turn. If they don't get to commit any crimes, we definitely win the race. That was like the perfect draw. Right as I was saying that, they draw the land that is the white source and damages us for 1 when we're down to 4 now, and triggers the Raven as a crime. That was not ideal. I will say that for sure. Luckily, they did not attack us, though. Very big fan of that. Pick up a Prairie Dog for a lifelinker if we don't immediately die. That sounds like a plan. They take the trade. They're on the defensive. Love to see it. Love to get that life drain off of the board and not have to worry about it. Unfortunately, I've taken so much damage here. I don't think I can plunder out of the grave and get real greedy for that value. So here's Prairie Dog. Here's Treasure Dredger. They drop their best white spell. Ooh, I was going to say they drop their best white spell, but they can't cast both. Well, they can if they top deck a Plains. Wow. All right, it took them a while to get there, but top decking 2 white sources, one right after the other, was absolute perfection for our opponents. We're still likely to win this game if they don't top deck again, because we get to kill the lifelinking Animus, use our Mercenary on the Prairie Dog to gain the life, to be very not dead on the crackback, sack a 2/2 to hit for 6 damage here, so that they're very dead on board next turn. See if they can't go runner, runner, runner. They did have some real awful draws early, so this would just be the Cosmos riding itself. Just the perfect top deck thrice in a row. Okay, draw a card in the end step. That is a nice one. The only way they don't die here is with instant speed removal. I don't think I can put the Lotus Ring on the Prairie Dog, because that just makes instant speed removal so bad for me. If I'm putting it on Prairie Dog, I'm banking on them not having instant speed removal. And if they don't have instant speed removal anyway, then I win no matter where I put it. So why put it on the Prairie Dog when it's so much worse if they do have instant speed removal? So let's put it on Link Breaker and send in 3 creatures with at least 3 power. If they kill the Prairie Dog and then crack back buffing the Lightfoot, that's how they win this game. So I'm going to pray that that is not going to happen here. Oh boy, okay, it's not instant speed removal, but it is maybe enough to kill me? No, because the lifelink from Prairie Dog. I will not be dead on the crackback here. But they're also not dead right now. Oh wait, no. Yeah, no, I'm off. I'm 1 damage off. Very close. That's so funny. That means if I did put it on Prairie Dog, it would have actually been better for me, because they couldn't kill the Prairie Dog. I was not thinking of what if they had a flash creature. Oh no, their own Prairie Dog, their own lifelink? Well, they don't have flying anymore. But if this turns into a top deck war, it's pretty awful for me. Oh. Hello there. I believe I can win off of this. So I can go... kill everything but Wrangler of the Damned and force the Wrangler chump. Is that better than just like putting this on Prairie Dog? They could sack the Prairie Dog to draw a card in response to me casting that. Oh wait, what am I? Oh, I'm so dumb. Oh wait, no, yeah. The back and forth here is ridiculous. Because they have Prairie Dog, they're not dead on board because they gain 2 on blocks. I think I fell. Everything but Wrangler here. Oh yeah, no, that's just lethal. Because we kill the lifelinker and we have 2 creatures that are attacking with at least 1. We definitely do this. This is our line to lethal this turn. Alright, sick. Took more thinking than it needed to be. Apologies to opponent, but we get the victory in the end, 1-0, heading into game 2. On a white hand, we have more white spells than black spells in this deck, but we've got a double black card in the opener without another black source, which is awkward. I'm still going to keep it. Frontier Seeker makes it very likely to draw another land and work our way up the curve here, and curving out with this hand is great. Seeker into Holy Cow and then Lassa by the Law for whatever threat they've resolved, and by then it'll have been their turn 5, so that is high enough mana values they're likely to have resolved something pretty scary. Oh... that's the worst. No planes in the top 5 is wild. Same colors again, green, black, and white. Don't know if this player's on blue. They got an untapped card for Medic. This will be gross. There's probably one in the set, but it's a pretty old one, so I don't remember exactly. Pretty old. It's only like a year and a half, but you know how draft formats are. You have to learn like 250 plus cards each set, so kind of wipe away the memory of the old set every time. Make room for the new cards. Just remember the vibes of the set, the archetypes, the general plan. Okay, Fell the Mighty is interesting here. So if I exile this Outlaw, it will not die, it will not draw a card, and more importantly, I'll have a 1-power creature on board for Fell the Mighty in the future. I get to get damage in here. Forgot I turned my emotes back on for the Yargle event. Try out my Yargle emote. Griff is certainly annoying for us, as it will not die to the Fell the Mighty. We're just on Holy Cow now. One minor complaint I have about this set, which I guess not just for simplicity, but also for balancing issues, they designed it this way. But it always bums me out that the mercenaries can't target your opponent's creatures, because if they could, you could commit a crime by targeting an opponent's creature. And specifically in this position, that would be very good with Fell the Mighty. Make their creature higher power than mine, and then kill it. If only the Griff got +1/+1 counters instead of a temporary +1/+1. I'm going to play the Holy Cow to scry towards another black source. Oof. Well, I kind of have to keep that. That is another black source, because I can sack something that's going to die to Fell the Mighty anyway. It's just not another black source yet. Force them to saddle by holding the cow back. I'm just going to chill. Putting the Lotus Ring on the Holy Cow also forces them to spend some removal here, or we stop their attacks and start getting our own. The music on this board is so sick too. This is awkward because if I tap out to equip the ring to the cow and they respond with instant speed removal, which they clearly held all of their mana up for, so they can do that if they have it in hand, then I'll just have spent all my mana for nothing this turn, which is very bad. I guess then I get to Mourner Surprise post-combat, pick up the cow. That's not completely horrific. I don't really have an alternate line. I could play another cow, but a second cow is not going to change the board at all. I need 5 toughness to block the Griff. Come on, top deck land, finally, please. It is self-imposed. I did scry away the first land. There we go. So we got Ambush Gigapede. Ambush Gigapede plus a cow will do it. If they don't have removal for the current cow, then just a cow and a Lotus Ring will do it. Let's see if they have another Desert Stew. That would be an exceptional hand here. Wow. It's very good. Pass turn. We'll have to wait another turn, but we're both sitting here gaining life turn over turn. So we still have time. We're just taking 2 and then gaining 1 and then taking 2 and gaining... Oh, gaining 2 from Holy Cows. Okay. Taking 2 and gaining 2 and taking 2 and gaining 2. I have another Mourner Surprise to keep it all going. They just have a complete mountain of removal over there. I don't mind a 7th mana. Cast Fell the Mighty on one of my 2-drops. I'll keep that. Also gives me the opportunity to play another black spell the same turn as Gigapede later. Casual 7 Deserts Dew deck. That's 3 in the top 15 cards. 1 out of 5 cards they've drawn this game has been a Deserts Dew. They had the gall to say nice on my 2nd Holy Cow when they have the 3rd Deserts Dew. Yeah, Outlaw Medic is pretty annoying on this board. We let it in. Hard Bristle Bandit, sure. Okay. I'm just gonna Holy Cow again. I don't know another way to put it. Eventually, we will break through the desert. board just keeps getting better and better for our Fel the Mighty. This might be the opportunity to just cash that in and keep the Holy Cow in hand for now then. Still don't have a way to kill the 1/3, the 1/1, and the Rift, but I can cast Fel and play a 2/2 to block those two, and then just take the Griff damage again. Kill the medic here, but it draws them a card. Don't love that. Fel the Mighty and a cow. Go to 6 here. But then I gain the 2 back, I stay at 8. Prairie Dog. Prairie Dog Lotus Ring is pretty wild. I probably should have just popped Medic last turn, because I'll have to pop it at some point. Saddle 3? Oh yeah, they can't saddle it here. And Combat Trick the Cow. Alright, let's see if they got a 4 mana value or less bomb creature. That's so good. Blood Hustler is a great 2-drop to reanimate, because it could just keep draining us for life and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. We're going to have to Gigapede here for sure. I might just main phase Gigapede because of how threatening Blood Hustler is. I guess there's a chance they don't saddle the Griff and then Gigapede gets the Griff killed. Although I'm holding 6 mana up, so this just looks insanely suspicious. I could let Hustler chill for a turn. This triggers once each turn. Okay, if they commit a crime during their turn and then one during ours, then it'll be a 3/3 will get around Gigapede. So I guess I can't let it chill. I'd have to kill it by their end step at least. Let's just deal with it before they draw. Contractor, sack medic, draw 3. Very good. I got 16 cards left over there. Not in the greatest position with all the card draw. They managed to work their way out with the medic, and then the Dirge was also a 2-for-1. Yeah, some good late game 2-for-1s coming up here between Dirge and the Contractor, the medics. Saddle the Griff, send it. We take it. Fortune, Loyal Steed. 2 mana untapped. Better not Desert Stew my prairie dog, I'll lose it. By it, I mean the game. Hallelujah. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on this if I spend 5 instead of playing this. Should probably still play this instead, rather than put all my eggs in this one basket. They don't have removal yet, but all it takes is the 1 top deck removal spell. Yeah, it's a 5-mana activated ability to have to sack itself to try to get more counters on itself. Ha! Literally instantaneously top decked. That's pretty good. They might have had it in their hand before and just didn't realize how bad the prairie dog was about to be for them. So there could have been... It could have been there already, they just had poor threat assessment, but I imagine they top decked that. I doubt they would not realize the prairie dog Lotus Ring combo. Well, it's definitely the right line cast and Keykeeper then. What just happened? What on earth just happened? I'm so confused. That's gotta be bugged, right? But they, oh, Journey to Nowhere had 2 mana value, so they blew up Journey to Nowhere. Okay. Sorry, I also had no idea what the heck just happened. So they blew up all the 2-drops, which blew up their own Journey to Nowhere. This Mystical Tether's about to be a complete blowout. They try to kill the prairie dog, which they will probably try to do. Wow. It might have, I don't know. My only 2-drop was Keykeeper, so like, they killed their own Bandit and Journey just for my 1 Keykeeper. I don't know what exactly they were trying to do there. Like maybe they clicked the wrong number or something? Or maybe they did just really want to kill the Keykeeper that bad and they just forgot about Journey to Nowhere. They were okay spending that removal spell plus the Hard Bristle Bandit to kill the Keykeeper. Yeah, there's the concession from our opponent. That was kind of a bummer in terms of how to end that game. We went from definitely still, I think, a very even, maybe slightly losing position to like, if I get a Lifelinker back with this Lotus Ring on the board, that just instantaneously put me right back to way ahead. That was a bummer of a misplay there. All right, well, I mean, I guess we take those. That'll be 2-0 then, heading into game number 3. A Magic Arena Classic, baby. That is going to be a mulligan for sure. And we will keep this 6, although it also has a triple black spell, so I think we just ditch that and go for the curve out. Seeker into Cow, hold up a tether later. Do not keep the triple black spell in the 1 swamp hand. Opponent's going to be ramping up with Hard Bristle Bandit. Found a Plains-off Frontier Seeker this time. We are 2 wins and 1 loss on the Frontier Seeker coin flips. Pretty nice we've drawn it in every game as well. We have 8 Plains in the deck, so 1 out of every 5 cards in the deck is a Plains. So digging 5 cards deep, on average we will see one, but we will not see one literally every time. So yeah, two successes, 1 failure. I think pretty reasonable luck so far with Frontier Seeker. If we stick at that ratio, that's probably the average odds. I should study up a little bit on percentages and odds of card draws and all of that. Whatever you call that kind of mathematics, that kind of statistics. If 1 out of every 5 cards, if you get a success 1 out of every 5 times and you do the thing 5 times, what are the odds that there is a success within those 5 spins of the wheel, rolls of the dice, whatever you want to call it? Little stuff like that. Jasper, you're going to get super killed. That is the Lively Dirge Wombo combo stuff. You find a great bomb rare like this that just keeps drawing cards out of your opponent's deck. That is what Lively Dirge is so good at in this set. And Holy Cow's really good at eating Hard Bristle Bandits for free. Alright, obviously we're going to tether Jasper and pass. Very simple turn here. I wouldn't say oops. For our opponent. The GG from opponent. This is why I don't use emotes. I didn't get confused so fast. That's not over, unless your hand is land. Juice up the unlicensed hearse. That seems a little counterintuitive maybe, because they are in green and black, so they could have Mourner Surprise. They could have the 5-mana reanimated creature from grave. Maybe they just drafted none of those. Alright, there's the Buried in the Garden to get Laughing Jasper back, so we're going to have to hit another removal spell, or Laughing Jasper is just going to single-handedly win the game. Laughing Jasper is genuinely that powerful. If they accomplish literally nothing else but keep a Jasper on board, they'll win. We have so much removal in this deck, but we have none of it in the hand. We'll check their last card. At least it is a card we can make them discard. And let's see. Top 2 cards. The worst part about this, the part that's so frustrating about Jasper, is like it could just find the removal that we need to kill it and then use it against us. Okay, I think I juice up the cow and I just go full speed ahead. Lotus Ring shenanigans. Okay, no, that was wrong. That was wrong. I should have juiced up the Frontier Seeker. We would have hit for 5 damage instead of 3. Our best chance here by far is to just kill them in like 2 or 3 turns as quickly as possible. Of course. The top card of our deck was the Lassoed by the Law for Laughing Jasper. Now that's 1 less removal spell we can draw, and it is the removal that they need to not die to our flyer. Not only that, it exiles. It gives them another outlaw, because it makes a mercenary. And any creatures they cast for Laughing Jasper become outlaws automatically. But the token itself wouldn't change for Laughing Jasper. It just already is an outlaw. So now they exile 4 cards. They just draw 4 cards next turn. So 5 total. 1 from their draw step, 4 from our deck. That is magic, baby. That is certainly a huge part of Outlaws of Thunder Junction. The only part of Outlaws of Thunder Junction that I think I strongly dislike. There are some wombo bombos. Okay. Really lucky to find the removal here. If we didn't find it literally this turn, the game was over, because draw 5. But I think we're still behind. This unlicensed hearse is still gonna try to kill us here. For sure. Yeah, we'll do this while they're not completely tapped out, but more tapped out than they would be. Also, I didn't realize earlier when they used the Hearse, I forgot that my removal was exiling Jasper and not putting it in grave, so they were exiling the other 2 cards. One pretty big punt this game. The counter going onto the Flyer instead of Frontier Seeker has certainly not panned out well, and I think it wasn't the right choice in the first place, because we should have been trying to hit them as hard as possible, and we actually got more damage in by putting the counter on the ground there. So that wrong choice is still coming back to bite us a bit here. Us not having a 2 toughness blocker held up to block. I think Unlicensed Hearse is still quite likely to just take it here now. Because Lotus Ring can get our stuff up to 5 power, but that Hearse can get up to 6 power real quick. Just be bigger than even our Lotus Ringed up creatures. And the fact that it completely shuts off the Mourner Surprise in our hand is pretty brutal. Hey, there you go. I literally say, like, I'm exactly dead because I can't deal with this card. I'm exactly dead because I haven't dealt with this card. And each time I say it, I immediately find the method to deal with those cards. Trumparoo. Ooh, that goes into my graveyard, so... Now I have at least 1 card for Mourner Surprise. If they end up blowing up all my creatures, I can reestablish a board of a couple threats. Link Breaker and 1/1, but again with Lotus Ring out. Those 1/1s are relevant. Lotus Ring, I have to say. Again, can be kind of slow, can be kind of dirtily like any equipment. But as we've seen in the games we've played so far, 100% has earned its slot in this deck. It has been absolutely essential in a majority of these games. I don't remember if it's been in every single one, but a majority of them at least. I think I'm already in a good enough board spot. I don't need another couple 1/1s, because it's not like I can make multiple 1/1s for Vigilant creatures. I can only have 1 threat that really matters at a time, so as long as I have at least that 1 threat, I'm good. Okay, Armadillo's an issue. We are still a astronomically removal-heavy deck, so we will probably find a way to kill that eventually, but for now, we need to set up some good blocks here. So I'm going to go full chump mode and get a million 1/1s. This also gets me to where I could double Mercenary the Seeker for a 7 power attacker and still have a chumper up. If I chump with Link Breaker here, activate, and chump with a 1/1. Especially if I draw another creature off the top. Oh, man. Our opponent is drawing some threats for sure. Okay, also a land. Actually, I don't think the trade is horrible for us into the Armadillo, because this is technically like a 2/1 underneath it all. So trade a 2/1 and a couple 1/1s into that. Still have 2 threats left, a Link Breaker and a Mercenary. Or I guess 2 Mercenaries, because I blocked the Link Breaker there. Keykeeper's excellent here. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. Block the 8/8 with 8 power. Then I'm left with a Keykeeper and a Mercenary with the Lotus Ring to move around. I think I leave everything where it is. It will be 4 mana a turn to keep tapping the Armadillo. That could definitely be awkward. 5 mana a turn even. But I'd have the board under control. If I clear the 8/8 out of here, and then I have, you know, one 4/4 mercenary and one keykeeper. They pass through. Ooh. Outlaw medic, and I get to have me some lifelink on my Lotus block. One big punch during the drafting process was there was one pack I didn't even realize there was an outlaw medic in it. I think I like took a random... I think that was when I took Pillage the Bog. Second outlaw medic to go with the Lotus Ring would have been way better than Pillage the Bog. Ooh, there's the Armadillo to go with the whatever the heck it's called. Bell the Mighty if we draw that. It's also really good with Lotus Ring. +7/+7 for 4 mana. Okay, yeah, Armadillo's gonna be insane. I've got the Vigilance here. I'm gonna spend a ton of mana to gain some life. I could probably tap a Mercenary or two here, but I do want to still be threatening on blocks. Chump from opponent, we go back to 16. And here's the Armadillo to go absolutely wild in the future. Oh, Crime Land lets them draw a card off the Bandits Hall. Decent draw. One of the only lands in their deck that would commit a crime and let them dig for the next card instead of just being Flood. They pass through. We're doing it. We're doing it. Oh my god, and Prairie Dog here in a board stall like this? I'm living the dream. I'm just vibing over here. It'll be such a chill time. Should create the world's biggest armadillo now. I don't even need to keep tapping things because the armadillo is like goes from 7 to 14 to 28. Oh my god. Armored Armadillo, actually the greatest card in the whole set? Keep playing lands, try to work my way to 12 mana. Oh, no, it's not +X+X, it's +X+O. That's sad. So it'll still just trade 1 for 1. But it has such high power, they'll have to take the trade here. Which I think is a good trade for me. I could also tap the Armadillo and force the Chump. Oh, that's why it's so big. They're the same species, Armored Armadillo and Spinewood's Armadillo. I think I just want to get this thing off the board. I'm tired of paying Ward. And I can go wide for lethal. We have so many more threats than our opponent. Alright, the Chump it is. They're not taking the trade, which leaves our tap ability ready to be used in the future. So I could tap one and then untap tap the other, and they have no blockers up and they're dead. It's the plan for next turn. I'm going to activate Prairie Dog so it gets 2 counters here if they don't kill it. Man, we have so many random good board stall draws this game. The Keykeeper, the Armadillo, and the Prairie Dog. All really nice mana sinks. The Lotus Ring, obviously, the MVP, the Mythic, but some commons and uncommons putting in great work too. Alright, let's see if we can end this here. And if we can't, we're still gaining a bunch of life. Alright, hold up a single 3/3 blocker. Say that blocks the armadillo to take 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're not quite dead. They're 1 damage off from dead. If they block armadillo. Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's a little bummer. Okay. I still get to gain a bajillion life, and they have to block armadillo. Unless they have good instant speed removal, that could be pretty gnarly here. Yeah, no, these attacks are still really good without going all in. Since we can't get lethal even if they don't have an instant, we might as well just go for the safe attacks that play better if they do. Go for the kill on the prairie dog. Go to 1 life here. Chomp, chomp it is. That has got to be a bummer for our opponent. Two more counters on the prairie dog. That'll be 3-0 for Orzhov. All removal Lotus Ring Grind Fest. Alright, here we are on the draw for game number 4. We got both our colors. We have the double black for all these double black spells. And we have a nice creature to play early. That is an early bomby threat from our opponent. Every time they commit a crime, they get a treasure token, so they cast 3 removal spells, they have 3 treasures, and those 3 treasures turn into a 4/4 hasting flying dragon. Magda is a wild card. Let's go Humiliate here. I mean, I do hate missing out on the +1/+1 counter, especially when I have a lifelinker to play. A lifelink with a counter on it could be great. But I like the idea of like getting rid of their removal, their crime here in their hand before I play another threat, and then just killing Magda before she can trigger. Yeah, I'm going to miss out on a +1/+1 counter value here. Rid of Terminus. They got a Dust Animus too, and they have the treasure token for it. Ah, shoot. So just plot a Dust Animus. I only have 1 removal spell, Consuming Ashes. I'm gonna have to use it on Magda. I will have to top deck removal for the Animus. I guess they've got the Mourner's Surprise for the Animus anyway. Eey. This is quite awkward. I guess I'll hit the Terminal Agony here, because it's the only card that I can actually fully get rid of when they have Mourner's Surprise in hand. We pray we hit Exile removal. Luckily, I would say a majority of our removal exiles, like Consuming Ashes, Mystical Tether, the Lasso. So most of our removal can get around the Mourner's Surprise. Holy Cow is the draw. We know that they are far from getting a dragon out of Magda, but the Deadeye Duelist does work its way towards that. I like scrying towards Gigapede with Holy Cow here, taking the Magda trade. Saving the ashes for the Dust Animus. We know in hand they don't have any instants, but they might have top-decked one. No, just get the treasure out of the Duelist before Magda dies. Play a Treasure Dredger, and pass the turn. We are now 1 land away from Gigapede and Gigapede Mourner Surprise. Gigapede plus Mourner Surprise, obviously huge here to grind out a bunch of value. Play the Gigapede, kill 2 of their creatures, Mourner Surprise it, kill another couple later. That's going to be the plan. Obviously, first we can Consuming Ashes the Dust Animus when they hit their 5th land, and Surveil into our 6th land. Magda. Okay, they did not hit an untapped land for Dust Animus, so they go Magda instead, so that would have been a very, very good turn to hit land 6, so that I can just go for the Magda kill here instead. So now I have to choose between putting the Prairie Dog on the board right now, or just holding up Consuming Ashes to kill Animus in their end step, so that if I hit the land for Gigapede off the Surveil, I can just do that next turn. What's so awkward here, lining up to where I can't play Gigapede, is that they get the 3rd treasure for Magda next turn and get a 4/4 Flying Dragon out of her. Yeah, you don't have to sack untapped treasures. Oh my god. This might have been the most important land draw of the whole game. Because I can't afford to let them get a 4/4 flyer, but my only way to kill it now is Consuming Ashes because we didn't hit land 6 here. And then I don't have any way to kill Dust Animus. And they can easily do both. The Animus is free. They just do it as the first thing for the turn. So they play the Animus on another 4/4 flyer if I don't kill Magda here. Ah, that's so bad. Alright, we need Consuming Ashes instead of surveilling into the... instead of surveilling to the 6th land for Gigapede, now we have to surveil into a 2nd removal spell for Animus. Thank goodness. Okay. Really nice draws. 1 card left in their hand. It's whatever they top decked. Welcome to Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Ay. I can't imagine they had a better draw than that in the deck. They draw a card every turn off that. Get an Ox with double strike 2. To kill that before the Animus. I just die to this Animus really quickly. Animus plus Duelist kills me in 2 swings. This hits for 5, this hits for 1. That's 6 damage. Past 6 damage, I'm dead. Alright, well. We got triple bombed. Fortunately, we were not the Outlaws this game. I should feel like my best bet is drawing past the Plunder. Draw the Plunder, draw another card, and that other card needs to kill Animus here. So I actually just chump with Medic instead. If I block with both, they can choose to kill Prairie Dog instead, and then I don't draw the Medic card. I have to hit something that isn't Vault Plunder to win this, so we go that direction, and I did hit something that isn't Vault Plunder. And is good enough on board if they draw nothing but lands to keep me in the game a little while longer. I don't think there's any way in black-red to protect the Dust Animus from removal. I'm just going to wait till their turn to use the accident as a combat trick, spitting out a 1/1 as well that they might not expect. Runner. To be fair, we've gone runner as well, but we had some card draw to do so. I think I'm just dead to that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm 1 damage away from dead to that tether off the top. which means Duelist is just gonna kill me after they untap it next turn. What happens if I chump the 3/2? I go to 5 life. Duelist puts me to 4. If I top deck the 6th land for Gigapede, I play it and pass. Duelist puts me to 3. They attack with a 3/2 and a 2/2, and Gigapede kills both of them. Yeah, that's kind of my only out. I need to soak up enough damage here to be able to go land Gigapede and double kill. If I'm lucky. And then maybe Holy Cow the turn after that off Mourner's Surprise. Man. Doesn't matter which one I target, because they can fake your own death whatever blocked instead of whatever got targeted if I did it the other way around. Go to 3. Duelist puts me to 2. They untap, Duelist puts me to 1. I need 2 blockers up to not die. I'd have to top deck a blocker. If I don't top deck a blocker, I have to cash in the Mourner's Surprise. But if I do top deck a blocker, I might be able to save Mourner's Surprise for a Gigapede. I believe this is the only way I can play this out here. The alternative is to like Mourner's Surprise a Holy Cow, have a 1/1 2/2 flyer, gain 1. 2/2 flyer blocks Dredger and just trades off immediately anyway. Or gain 2, sorry, I'd be at 6, but I still go to 5. I think I still have to be playing towards hitting solid gold here, basically. I don't know about solid gold, but that is reasonable. I guess I could Mourner's Surprise the Gigapede too, and that is 2 blockers up. Right now. Pick up Outlaw Medic. None of these things stop the Duelist. Getaway Glamour can't stop the Duelist either unless I lose my whole board and flicker the Dredger on theirs. I mean, I have to surprise somebody. Go Gigapede for later. We are dead to removal. We have been dead to removal since they hit the tether earlier to ruin our attempt at stabilizing immediately. It's like 5 or 6 spells in a row, just no lands over there. I do enjoy the pass for turn. If it has 4 or more counters on it, gets Menace and Lifelink. Ooh, that is bad. Okay. I mean, I have to kill the Duelist or it kills me. Play until Vadmir is bigger than everybody else, and then I can get away the Vadmir. Commits a crime for Vadmir. Yep. Mills land, Link Breaker. Link Breaker would have been a very solid draw. Alright, kill Vadmir. Please. You gotta have like a 6th land in hand at least. One card that is not a spell here. Kill the lifelinker. Jam the plunderer. And we are in a top deck war at a massive life total disadvantage. Probably just trading into the mercenary, but that is fine. Literally any creature, no matter how small on their board, can kill me at 1. So any opportunity I have to clear out one of their creatures, I will take. And I didn't really want to tap both the mercenaries to send one of them in as a 2/1. Because I live in fear of the random, like, 1 mana, 1/2 first strike haste or something just killing me because I only have 2 blockers up against 3 threats. Oh my god, that is a draw. Oh boy. There's the Lotus Ring. I guess we're 24 cards deep, so was more likely to show up by now than not, because that is more than halfway through the deck. But only a little bit. It's just all gas all day. Where are your lands? Okay. Fair enough. I am surprised and okay with them exiling Gigapede instead of the ring here. Because they could have exiled the ring and then blocked the Gigapede to kill it. That way I can't turn any of my creatures into relevant cards later. Alright, I don't have the mana to re-equip. Even if I sacked the Gigapede to it, I wouldn't have had the mana to re-equip because it would go away during combat. No matter how I play this, I'm dead to them having top-decked a creature here. Either I chump and then I know I have a thing to equip, but then they play another creature and I die, or I double block and then they play another creature and I die. So if they top-deck a creature and I don't top-deck a creature removal, I lose either way. Chump is better if I draw removal. Double block is better if I draw a creature. What do I have left? Oh, Fell the Mighty. I still have a Fell the Mighty in here. I think that makes me lean towards Chump because I have Fell the Mighty as well. Alright, I mean, if I miss on this draw step, I'm not... I mean, 21 cards deep, 5 lands, all spells. Fought like my absolute life depended on it, but the cards were just not there for me. We hit over twice as many lands as our opponent. Wild stuff. And fought our way through 3 bombs. It is what it is. 3-1 heading into game number 5. Excellent opening hand for game number 5. Keykeeper and a bunch of removal. Lotus Ring, so any threat we draw is terrifying. Grixis from our opponent. Grixis usually plays a crime control deck in black and red. Here you just play a bunch of removal spells and a bunch of cards that trigger off of committing crimes. The particularly powerful one is the 1 blue and a black, like, card draw engine. You cast it, drain your opponent for life, and draw a card, and you pick it up every time you commit a crime. Just draw infinite cards and chain all your removal spells together till your opponent dies. Okay. Kind of just vibing here. Let's get the ring down. Don't care enough about the duelist to just throw removal at it this early. Play the Wolverine. Perfect draw. Fit Bandit's Hall. Perfectly castable. Ooh, 5 color. Cool stuff. Insatiable Avarice for us. We're a single swamp away from being able to hard cast that without having to crack the creature to the Lotus Ring. Probably just going to kill the Keykeeper here. Just a little bit of a bummer. But again, like, spending removal on Wolverine or Duelist isn't that exciting in the first place, so we can just jam some damage in and then force the removal on Keykeeper here. Duelist Bandit's Hall is a pretty good combo. I guess if I was gonna exile something, it might be best to like tether the hall itself, seeing their mana base here, keeping them off potentially other colors. Oh, Jesus Christ. That is an incredible crime card draw engine. Draw the best card of the top 2 every time you commit a crime. Wow. Alright, well, we found our removal target for sure. Our opponent is just the total crime lord. So much crime happening. I could play Tether and then I still have Keykeeper's ability up, but I don't think Keykeeper's ability is going to be as relevant as just having a mercenary for later. Because again, even just that mercenary gets to turn into the 4/4 vigilance, and our opponent's already down to 10. Still actually haven't seen a natural white source from our opponent. So they could just be 4 color. But once you go above 3 colors, it's basically all the same. Just like playing everything. Man, I already got Cruel Ultimatum in my first draft. I gotta do it 2 drafts in a row? Awesome. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A 7 for 1 again. The gain 5 is actually huge here. Come on. I just don't think you beat Ultimatum if it resolves. Go Avarice. Try to still have something to do with my mana. Have some spells to cast. Do not hit the black source. That's the worst part, is that I needed to keep the swamp and the Avarice, but I couldn't keep both. I think I might have had an opportunity to play the 3rd black source instead of the 3rd white, in which case, definitely a punch. Not that it looks like it'll end up super relevant here. Unless somehow our opponent has drafted like no removal spells, because I mean they've drawn half their deck now. Still haven't cast a single removal spell. I think the odds of this Keykeeper sticking around are very unlikely now. Unless they're capable of digging 20 cards deep without finding removal. I guess they could just be Grixis with off-color crime lands. Seeing the Cruel Ultimatum makes that much more likely than them actually playing green spells. Because it'd be an astronomically bold mana base to be running Ultimatum in a deck with like any basic forests or anything to tutor up. You would want every single source in your deck to be blue, black, or red. That is the only flaw with Cruel Ultimatum, the restrictive mana cost. If you cast it, like, if you manage to resolve it, maybe the strongest, the literal strongest card in the whole set when it's on the stack. But it's a lot more difficult to get it on the stack than a lot of other cards that are somewhat close in power level. So it's definitely not the strongest card in the set, just the strongest when it resolves. They could have the counter unless I pay 2. So I'll cast this first and then tap. It's the black source. Sadly, I won't Avarice next turn because I think I want to move the ring over to the cow. Oh, we're just going to do that in the end step? Sure. Okay, then I get to cast Avarice. I don't have to get my mana completely soaked up trying to move my equipment around. I guess they have another crime to commit during my turn is the plan for Blood Hustler. So I can get a double crime trigger. But that's not going to happen because I have Keykeeper. I think I'd have been less happy if they just passed and then I tried to equip and then they Thunder Salvoed my 2 toughness cow. And I just don't even resolve the equip. That would have been miserable. Again, not that anything I have said since Cruel Ultimatum resolved has been relevant. The game ended turns ago. I just might as well play it out. That's my best top deck. I mean, I kind of just die next turn. You just blow up Keykeeper and kill me with everybody else. I have no 1-mana plays. Oh, well, I do have Armadillo, but Armadillo's not going to do it. I'll just click on something. Reasonably strong. I'll just get another cow. Let's see, we draw alongside it. Reasonable cards. Okay. They go for trades for the Keykeeper. Then we clear out some decent creatures to not immediately die on the crackback. If they don't, then I can sack the Keykeeper to flash in the cow, gain a couple life when they actually try to kill it next turn. So that's the real hope, is that they just take that damage and don't try to kill the Keykeeper. And I have a teeny tiny shot of the prize killing them with the Holy Cow. They will gain life off Blood Hustler and potentially Caustic Bronco. But if I somehow don't die, Holy Cow could be 5 damage in the sky. I've got at least 1 card in this deck that can ping them for 1. They're gonna have me draw 2, lose 2 here? Or are they digging still? Fancy. I'm just going for it here. Wow. You have to be kidding me. They needed to hit at least 2 mana spells off of the Bronco. If they hit a 1-drop or a land, they might have lost the game off that play. If they don't have removal in their hand. But it's exactly enough damage off of a 2-mana creature. Off of a 2-mana spell off the top. Man. That is really frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, that's crazy close for getting Cruel Ultimatums. But it is not enough. 3-2 heading into game 6. Here we are for game 6 now. 3-0 into 3-2 for maximum feel bads. But those were some really, really just bomb-loaded games of Magic there, so it is what it is. I don't feel any worse about this deck that we're running here. I'm confident this can win some more games if we get some decent luck here. Just got blasted by Incredible Outlaws of Thunder Junction rares a couple games in a row. Okay, Alchemist for some extra damage here, fair enough. Like having the Mercenary out for the Fell the Mighty in the future. Shut off some of their mana for now. Get in there. There's the Alchemist. The Commando. Alright, I'll get a 2-for-1 here. Jam. It's good enough for me. I have a couple other creatures I still want to cast here. So I want to be putting more on this board, which means if I can just pop that when it's not going to kill any of my own cards, I will just do that. So that I have free reign to plop my stuff down. What do they got? Rictus Robber? Creature died, get a 2-2. Should I cast Prairie Dog or just hold up? Accident or Tether? I feel like they're probably going to cast Removal if they're going to cast Rictus Robber coming up. And I'd way rather they remove one of these very mediocre cards than Prairie Dog. And then they cast the Robber for free, and then I kill the Robber with one of my instant speed removal spells. Oh, super lucky. They didn't even have removal to cast. Alright, well, we still do the thing. Blow up the Robber, and get another threat. A tiny threat. A 1-1 Mercenary, a baby threat. But a threat nonetheless. Check out what they got left here. Combat Trick. Removal spell. Oh, definitely Hollow Marauder. Yeah, there's the concession from our opponent. That was cheap enough now they could cast it for 3, and then it makes us discard a card and them draw a card. So it's a 3-for-1, plus the 4-2 body to trade off with. So yeah, we clear that out. We're dealing 5 damage on board. They're going to have to spend their removal on a 2-1 or a 2-2 Mercenary token. And then we still have more threats to cast later. Really, really nice showing from the deck there. Luckily, our opponent missed a land drop or 2 as well. That was certainly helpful. But just beautiful stuff. Alright, here we are for game number 7. We're locked in for a positive record now, no matter what happens, which is pretty nice. Got a very reasonable deck here. We've got a Lotus Ring for a bomb rare, which is decent. By Outlaws of Thunder Junction standards, of course, as we've seen in some of our losses, it's not super insane, but it has been very helpful today. And we just have a bunch of great interaction. I think almost every one of these games, as is classic for Outlaws of Thunder Junction, we have had to deal with at least one pretty balmy threat. So having all this removal, super essential in this set, in this draft format. For example, like last game, we had to deal with a Tumblewag, where it was going to just keep getting counters all over the board all game long. And win it pretty easily. Our first loss, we dealt with 3 threats and still got into a long, grindy top deck war. Almost stabilized. What was that? That was Laughing Jasper, Bruce Tarl, And Magda. Magda that was like one treasure away from something. And Dust Animus? Is that all the same game? There's no way that was all the same game. No, I'm mixing two games together, I think. But there was like a Dust Animus Magda game and a Laughing Jasper with some other stuff game. I think Magda, Bruce, and whatchamacallit were all in the same game. I don't remember the third threat in that one for some reason. Opponent's getting some good value plays set up, but we're getting a lot of early damage in. As long as I don't flood out here, we should have a reasonable chance of pushing the last 2 points of damage in. But currently, we're quite flooded. We're on 7 lands drawn already. Always going to be a pretty flooded position when you have drawn more lands than spells. As, I mean, literally every deck runs less lands than spells. You never want to be drawing in that opposite ratio. We're on 5 spells, 7 lands right now. We've got them down to 8. A couple Holy Cows we could draw that look great on this board. We haven't seen any flyers from our opponent or reach creatures. I mean, we saw one, but that's the one that we shoved into their graveyard, so there's the solution there. Okay. Prairie Dog is a very, very decent draw here. As now if I miss on future draw steps, at least I'll be getting counters on the Prairie Dog. But it doesn't break through the current board state or get me any extra damage until a few turns from now, so no immediate impact. And the Outlaws of Thunder Junction strike again. We get a huge 2-for-1 against us here. They counter the Prairie Dog, and the 4-4 gets copied. Yep, I've got no interaction for that. Now we are astronomically behind on board. At least we had them in a position where they had to use it before they could use all 3 of the spree abilities. But they still got to use the 2 most important ones. Counter plus clone. Oh my god, and then the Lively Dirge. If they have a good 4-mana or less bomb rare creature, then that's about to come out. They don't, they just pick Forsaken Miner. Pick up the Sharpshooter. Okay. I mean, it's not good. They're way out on board. But it's not a bomb. We are not drawing more spells here. It's like tap a 4-4. It's better than chumping the 4-4. Alright. 4 and 3 is not the worst for this deck. But I think it was very capable of doing better than this. It feels like the way we lost these games, these matchups at the very least, were winnable, especially the first loss. But this loss is quite similar to the first loss as well, where it's like, I mean, I had enough forward momentum, enough early pressure, that if I just stopped hitting lands at some point earlier, might have been able to push through all the way. Especially if they didn't have the 3 steps ahead. Alright. That's gonna do it. 4-3 for our second draft of Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I think that's 4-3 twice in a row. I think our first deck was much stronger than this in terms of individual card quality. Our first deck was similar to the decks that we lost to today, where they had some pretty filler stuff, like the 2-mana 1/2, the 4-mana 4/4 that enters tapped and stuff. But then some really high bomb rare quality with cards like 3 Steps Ahead, Laughing Jasper, Magda, and stuff like that. That's how our first deck felt, our Naya deck. This deck feels like I have the Fell the Mighty and the Lotus Ring for our rares in here, and I have really the Lotus Ring is the closest you can get to saying like a bomb. The Fell the Mighty is like a synergy board wipe. The best it did was like killing 2 of our opponent's creatures and none of ours. Like a nice big 2-for-1 removal spell is still pretty good, but we had to work for it a little bit in terms of getting those 1/1 mercenaries down. I played the Armadillo for it, but never drew that combo together. So yeah, again, I think the rares in this deck are significantly weaker than the ones we had in our first deck, but this one is much better at interacting consistently with whatever our opponents are doing, as long as we draw spells and lands. We have Unfortunate Accident, Getaway Glamour, Double Mystical Tether, Consuming Ashes, and Lassoed by the Law, as well as a Humiliate to pull the spells out of their hand, and then pretty synergistic creatures on the curve. Of course, the Fell the Mighty as well for interaction. Yeah, this is a nice interactive, grindy deck, as opposed to our first deck that was really just trying to draw the right bombs at the right time. Both were good in their own rights. Both did just as well in terms of the win rate, and I think both were capable of making it a bit farther. But I think 4-3 is a perfectly fine spot for the deck, so we'll take that. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed it and you're interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, subscribe, tell the YouTube algorithm to send some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. And other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.